I think China is in a very, it's a very important moment for China. It has to make some very fundamental decisions, both on the short term and the medium term and the long term. So, and we have this important meeting coming up here in China, and I think what I see or hear is not too encouraging that they will address some of these issues. So I do think that the consumption issue, in the sense that we need to make people feel that they don't have to build these buffers. I actually slightly different from Keyu, see a lot of young unemployed in the cities now. People are much less willing to take those expensive vacations, and yes, there's a lot of pressure for the consumption, but there's still, relatively speaking, a hesitancy. So how it responds now, it also has to do with deflationary pressures in the economy and so on. So I think that is very important for the short term. Then obviously how they deal with the prop situation in the medium term, because that's hanging on the financial sector, it's hanging on people's personal economic situation, and it also, I think, affects the long-term viability of the financial system and many of the local authorities. So that's, I think, a set of medium-term issues. Then when it comes to the long-term, responding to demographics is important. I think China is perfectly capable of that. And as I said, on those issues around, China's growth will be smaller than we maybe expected, but I don't see peak China or in the sense of China not being able to grow at significant rates. I think China will be able to grow in per capita terms very significantly, and I see a strong commitment to the net zero transition, strong commitment to addressing the nature capital challenges. So on balance, I think I'm hopeful, but I see a lot of need for doing things right now.
Thank you, Erik, for that very frank assessment. Very useful. Professor Shenglin.
China is going through a very challenging period of time as we are moving up the so-called higher quality growth, as we embrace the ESG, the social change, the green development. And I'm speaking right now from Xinjiang, China. Xinjiang is on the west side. And after the COVID lockdown, challenge, Xinjiang is, recovering in many ways. I can feel it. And that's probably also a reflection of what I can say generally speaking. Chinese economy will be moving forward one way or another, but provided that we unleash the entrepreneurship, the spirit of innovation that has driven China over the last 40 years forward. And I hope that the public sector, as well as the private sector, can embrace on innovation, on entrepreneurship, and engage with the rest of the world as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's only in China that we hear people talking about entrepreneurship in the public sector too. And I think two speakers have already said to that. So thank you very much for that. Dr. Löchel.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I could not agree more what my predecessors have said before. If I go for a very big picture, I think China did a great job in the last 40 years, moving the country up. We have never seen in history in such fast time from a low income to a middle income country. And now the transformation, the challenge is now to come to a high income country. And this is indeed a challenge, because then it's not only anymore about quantity, but more about quality. Quality in production, quality in life, environmental protection, and all this kind of stuff. So you need a lot of sophisticated capital and even more sophisticated people. This is the main challenge, and there's still a long way to go. Unfortunately, this is very much somehow hampered by this geopolitical tension. So this makes the task for China to move up to a high income country even more difficult. But seeing the progress in the last 40 years, I'm optimistic. I'm really optimistic that China and Chinese economy is a learning system, and I think they will handle this challenge as well.
Fantastic. A learning system economy, yeah, that we've heard that again many times. So thank you. And the optimism is one I think that many will take away from this conversation. Finally, over to Dr. Jin.
I see China's future lying in the possibility overcoming three important tensions or trade-offs. Just because China didn't like the credit booms and credit sustained investment growth after 2009, doesn't mean that the financial system should not continue to develop and there should be enough finance in the economy to get it going. Just because the big techs have around the world, that is, have not acted always responsibly or are entering new domains without clear regulations, doesn't mean that there should be policies that would suppress entrepreneurialism. These are all important trade-offs, and just because China faces geopolitical tensions, it will still need to resist every temptation to become more isolated and more disengaged. Only by staying completely open and being the most connected component in the world as it has become, is there really a way to keep the sustainable growth path. I don't think it's just an internal economic trajectory. I think in every way, from the capacity issues to the production, to the technology issues, to how the climate change and its interaction with the region, China needs to stay very, very much closely engaged and also help steer the future direction of global cooperation. Thank you.
Wonderful, Dr. Jin. I think on that tone, on that note of China being open, receptive to the world, and engaging and also steering global cooperation is the way forward. It will need partners, and particularly the large powers like the United States, the EU. That's the way forward. And I hope everyone's found this discussion useful. I found it extremely enriching. We've got lots of questions coming in, and to those whose questions we were not able to forward, I beg your forgiveness, but I hope you all enjoyed it.